get started with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you all so much for coming out tonight. I think this is record-breaking attendance for the Parks and Rec Board. But we really appreciate you coming out. We just have a little bit of business to do first, and then we will turn it over to Ms. Sue Hamilton with her presentation. Okay. All righty. The minutes. Okay. Sorry, I'm blind. Very well. No. Okay, all right, so we have minutes from January 14th meeting. Gayla sent these to us a while back, so we've had them to review them. Are there any changes that need to be made before we approve?
No, it looks like it's in.
Okay. Yep. Good with the minutes? Okay. All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes for January 14th, 2025?
Motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. All right, minutes are approved. Okay, and then the first thing on the agenda tonight, I think I forgot to grab one, but I believe it's the newsletter spotlights. So, let's see, this month for February, the pick for resident was you, so who did you pick?
I will be interviewing Millie Rochelle.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Millie's in the high school age, but she's a singer-songwriter and does a lot of good things here in Townsend.
Oh, wonderful. I can't wait
Lovely.
to see that interview for February. That'll be awesome.
Give me a second.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Brett is out tonight, but he was the pick for the business club or organization for February, and he's chosen the Townsend River Breeze Inn.
Nice.
So he's going to interview them. And we do these spotlights for our monthly newsletter for Parks and Rec. So if you're not a subscriber to that newsletter every month, come see me afterwards and give me your email address and I'll add you to the list so that you will get those emails. But we do a resident spotlight every month, and we also do a business club or organization spotlight. So actually, thank Miss Mina, you did the garden club last month, so you have a spotlight for January. Okay. All right. That's all the business we're going to do for now, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Sue Hamilton to do the Tree City USA We wanted to give you pretty much the whole meeting. Yes, ma'am. I'll add you. We're going to sit and watch.
Thank you, Kelsey, for letting me come tonight and talk to you about this program. My husband Ron's passing out a handout that basically has all the information I want to share with you tonight. And a little bit of background on me, because I know some of y'all may not know me, but I'm Sue Hamilton, a retired professor from the University of Tennessee, where I taught and did research and was director of the University Botanical Gardens for 37 years. And I've been in Townsend now almost 7 years. So I've lived here, it's my home, it's my community, it's where I just love being retired. And so I've had time too to, get immersed and live in the community and join the Tupelici Garden Club, which is well represented here tonight. And, so it's a good bit of time to look around and think about things and look at our community. And so, of course, I'm a horticulturist and I love plants and I love trees. And Kathy, who's over here, we were neighbors where I used to live over in Laurel Valley, so she knows. I admit I could go a little nuts on plants, but I'm also good at reeling it in and taming it down. If you've ever been to the University of Tennessee Gardens and all of that. So anybody in here familiar with Tree City USA or the Arbor Day Foundation? Well, good. So I want to talk to you about that tonight. And the Arbor Day Foundation is a huge global, and it's global, nonprofit organization that was established back in 1976. And getting ready for this, I got on their website and read about the history of them. It's a pretty neat journey, their history and how they got started. And now they have a headquarters, which I think would be a fabulous field trip to where they're located and all that they have to offer. But it's amazing how they've grown, and now with this global presence. And they go we're talking like where tropical rainforests have been cut down and all. They try their best to reforest in areas where people don't want to, be growing crops and all. You think about California with the wildfires that have all just happened. They will be involved in helping to replant trees there. You think about North Carolina, where a lot of things got wiped out there, they will help with that. So anywhere you had devastation, they're out there helping, planting trees that way, working with the U.S. Forest Foundation or Department and all that with USDA. And then for cities, and maybe now that you've seen what the Arbor Day Foundation, as you travel around the United States, you may start seeing signs for the Tree City USA that right there that maybe you weren't aware of before, but that's where they're in all the local communities around the United States. And look at the growth that they've had since starting in 1976. 42 communities started in 16 states, and then almost half a century later, Tree Cities can be found in now all 50 states. And I was telling Kelsey, look at all across the United States where they're located. The smallest town that is a Tree City USA is in North Dakota, and they have a population of 20. That makes Townsend look big. But then you can go to New York City, the largest city in the United States, and they are a Tree City USA. So they're in all 50 states, and it's all throughout communities. And look at that, there's over 3,500 tree cities now in the United States. And when you calculate up how that blankets the United States as far as planting trees and advocating towns to plant trees and all, that's over half of America is blanketed with these Tree City USAs, which I think is pretty cool. So let's look at Tennessee. Tennessee has 37 tree cities. And I was telling Kelsey that, our sister cities right around us, Sevierville, Knoxville, Alcoa, Maryville, they all have been tree cities for quite a while. And this is taken right off of their website. And so you look at Alcoa, 37 years. And you can scroll on down on the website and see Maryville, see Knoxville. I know, who knew? Some of y'all are looking like, who knew? But look at Chattanooga, 34 years. Look at the city of Winchester over there in nursery country, just 4 years. So, you've got young and then you've got very well-established programs across just our great state of Tennessee. So what advantages does tree planting offer? For us to have a plan and think about planting more trees in Townsend. So let me share with you a little bit of what studies and what research tells us about trees. You have enhanced community appearance and pride. And studies have shown that where you have more trees planted and things, you have less crime, less graffiti, less trash. People take pride in how things look. And when you have all that, it's a trickle-down effect. You just have less of the negative things that can happen in communities. Greater appeal for consumers. Studies show that people will frequent and shop more at restaurants and at businesses and all when there are trees planted and things are landscaped nice. And if you just think about places that you like to go, what are some of your favorite places to shop? Or I have a friend that drives way out of her way to just go to a certain area in Knoxville because she just loves the feel, and that's where she likes to shop. I bet all of us probably have a couple of those places. And you may be able to think of some places that aren't so appealing to go. And I would wager, if you think about it or study it, there's probably less trees and less green in those areas than maybe you're aware of. Higher property values. Real estate goes up for businesses, for homeowners. If you've ever bought a home, you know home values. If you've driven through some really nice neighborhoods that are older and have the big old trees, that adds to the value. You know, people are able to collect insurance money and all on some of their big old trees because of how the value it is to their property. So that's a very positive thing. More shade in public areas, lowering temperatures. I can tell you, I now live up in the Stonegate community, which is just up behind the visitor center here. My husband and I, we regularly monitor and check. When we turn off of the main drag, 321, and drive up to our home, the elevation's not that great, although we are up higher, but it is covered in shade. Kathy knows the neighborhood well. We are consistently 8 degrees cooler. Now, I don't know about you, but when it's 90-something out, I'll take the 8 degrees cooler, you know? Well, you know, shade is a very powerful thing. And I can tell you in big cities, New York City and things like that, where they try to do more green roofs and trees and all that, there's a correlation to domestic violence and I mean, we're talking our community and trees, but it's amazing the effect that shade and trees and cooling things down can have on a community. And of course, it's good for the environment. It improves walkability. People want to get out and be among the trees, be in nature, walk where we have a great greenway. This could help. I mean, I'm going to show some photos, but if you look, there's a lot of intense sun areas on our greenways that could definitely be enhanced by, you know, the right placement of trees. Better management of stormwaters. Boy, the last 10 years, stormwater management has become huge for cities and communities, and trees are fabulous in assisting with that. You know, their roots anchor and hold soil in place. They're fabulous at absorbing water, and as they absorb water, that improves our water quality. We want to solve a lot of the climate issues we're having. Plant, plant, plant. More trees, more plants, because of the filtration, slowing water down, cleaning water. All of that is wonderful. And of course, we all know that trees provide our oxygen, but they filter the air that we breathe, capturing carbon, taking out pollutants. And of course, that's all good for our physical well-being. And we don't live in some of these highly populated areas, but you know, studies show this can be a big impact on those type areas. Fostered biodiversity and habitat for wildlife. I mean, we live right here in the mountains and the national park and all, but even along our greenway and our community here, you know, you know, as we build and construct more homes and all, we're taking vegetation out, putting some back to help our wildlife. And then one of my favorite ones here that we just so often do not think about is the boosted or the benefit in our well-being, our mental well-being that plants, trees can have on us. It's one of those subconscious and you're not really aware, you don't think about it, but it's kind of like what I just mentioned to you about shopping and where you like to go hang out. And if you really think about that, probably a lot of those places, as I said, are heavily vegetated. And we all, it's been shown, we have an innate need and a desire to be with green plants and trees. They've even gone as far as they know what tree humans are drawn to the most as far as a form. I'll show you savanna, you know, the open savanna in like Africa, you know, the trees, how they're open. Human beings love that kind of tree because you can be under a canopy, but you can see and feel safe because you can see. So anyhow, lots of information to support, you know, the planting of trees. And I'll just share, you know, we're all familiar with this. If you go through Alcoa tree-lined boulevards there, this absolutely had to have been part of their Tree City USA, what they've done. And then look, another section of town, this would be probably the lesser area that I would enjoy shopping. There's just no trees. It's so stark and harsh, and it's not inviting. It doesn't look cool. Maryville, and if you, my laser pointer doesn't work, but you may have noticed on these boulevards, I just took this one shot, but you know, Maryville has a lot of tree-lined streets. They just replanted a lot of these older boulevards, and the trees are too young, but especially in this upper right, there's a lot of brand new trees where a couple of these older big trees may have died or were removed, but they have come back and planted more. So I don't know, you just think, you have a lot of pride in how that looks, how it makes you feel, and it's just good, as I mentioned, all those benefits prior to this. Look at this street, another area in the Alcoa Maryville area, another area that's just not inviting for going out to eat or shopping. And again, I just don't see trees in that area. So then when you come through Townsend and you look, especially our Central Boulevard, I meant to drive it and see what mileage it is, but we have a pretty good long boulevard area there. It's 5 miles, where that central corridor, you know, the idea would be not to block views and all, but you see how it even slopes down a little? There are some wonderful native trees that would grow up tall, just like you saw on the tree line with Maryville and Alcoa. You could see under, but they love, if it gets wet, you're fine. If it gets dry, they're fine. But I think that right there is a good example of a location where you could add trees, and it would just do so much for how our community looks. Some of the areas there along the greenway, just absolutely hot sun, you ride your bike or you're walking. You know, you really don't want to go out during the heat of the day. But with trees, you may not think twice about just going out there. And again, just some other areas where it's very stark and could just use some embellishment, some benefit of some trees. So lots of spaces are available. So what's involved in becoming a tree city, USA? So you have to meet 4 standards. And the first standard is you have to have a tree board or a department. Some cities have what they call the Department of Forestry or Department of Urban Forestry, if they're big enough city and all. And then others just have a tree board. And you can see delegated responsibility. You can read all that. Forming a tree board, cities can create more organized and effective urban forestry plan. And there's 2 examples. There's Knoxville and there's Maryville, where they've just posted when they meet and how many people are on the board. And, you know, so that's one standard, having an official tree board or a department. Number 2, establishing a tree care ordinance. Okay, so if we're going to go out and plant trees, we just can't walk away and forget about them. What's involved? Now, trees can be low maintenance, absolutely. Minimal effort, minimal care. And I'm going to say this is where somebody like myself and all, and others, you know, would be wonderful to come in and assist with right tree, right place. You know, you've heard that, right plant, right place. And you can walk away, you shouldn't have to prune. I'm talking landscapes and all. With proper planning, you can have the right plant in the right place. You shouldn't have to do a lot of pruning and effort to maintain a good landscape. So public tree ordinance assigns clear authority over public trees and provides clear guidance for planting, maintaining, and if you're going to have to remove a tree or, you know, if there's concern or whatever. And what's really nice about the Arbor Day Foundation and the Tree City program, as I was telling Kelsey, man, they got it all worked out. So look here, a sample municipal tree ordinance with a tree board. So they already have one where you can tweak and make this unique and tailor it towards your city, but they've already kind of worked out so much of the details. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. So that right there would be one example, and it could be very easy to do. Especially if everybody on the board or however, you know, agreed, this is how we will approach doing these things. Number 3, maintain a community forestry program with an annual budget of at least $2 per capita. Now, a lot of people see that and think, well, we can't spend money like that on trees and all. Well, they say a lot of people already are spending that much and they may not realize it. But read here, your community most likely spends that much. This is intended to demonstrate an ongoing investment in your public trees. And here again is an example from some city, wherever it was located, but this was an example of a budget, how they were directing people and to keep track. Now, I was telling Kelsey, I just saw that the Townsend Riverwalk just posted how they had some tree work done. Well, all of that can count. Whatever was spent, even if it was gifted or it was a service, there's a value there. Somebody has to know what the value of that service was. If you have volunteer work, we did this at the UT Gardens all the time. Wanda, you were involved in all that. We could translate that at the end of the year, what the value of our volunteers were to our garden for the year, and we could report. And it's amazing. I think it's up to like $40-some an hour is what the value of a volunteer hour is, because so many people are retired professionals and things like that. But anyhow, it's not like you have to capture $2 out of a budget, because Kelsey tells me we have less than 600 people in Townsend. I know we're a small town, but we have more than 20 than they do in North Dakota. But anyhow, the example being that we probably already are doing that. It's a matter of just how you report it, and so that you qualify to become a tree city. And and you would know better than me, like how it works with Blount County. And I know that Teresa, I'm on the committee to work with our Townsend school, and we wanted to have a tree removed there, and that there's been some channels to work through, but there's a way to get it done. So anyhow, so you have to, standard number 3, your budget. Number 4, proclaim and observe Arbor Day, okay? And there again, look, they provide you even a way to do your proclamation. The mayor can sign it, you can pick your day. And there's a lot of, they give you all kinds of ideas on how you can celebrate Arbor Day. You can have a gathering if you want. You can have a tree planting, you know, and it could be, I know, I was seeing one city, I think it's Knoxville, reports on their tree board thing that it's November when they do their Arbor Day. Well, November is an ideal month to plant any tree. And that's, it could be that it's just a matter of encouraging your citizens to plant a tree in their yard or at the school or at the church or wherever it may be. So passing an official holiday and taking pride, you know, in that we're planting trees and we support all this in our community. So that's standard number 4. So that's the 4. And then there's a structured application. This is taken right offline. You can see there where it says it's a readiness quiz where you can go through and answer all the questions, and then it lets you see what do you need to do if you want to move forward and adopting all of this and becoming a Tree City USA. So there's that readiness quiz. There's numerous funding opportunities. It could be that trees get provided to you. There's a lot of organizations that provide trees, especially the Forest Service and all, because again, the value in planting trees. Look at the Tennessee Department of Agriculture, Urban and Community Forestry Assistance. There's all of that kind of information there on providing trees, dollars. Look at USDA, the federal government. There's a program. There's even from the Arbor Day Foundation in the upper left, how to fund community forestry, you know, all the places that you can seek. And then, but I know many of the urban foresters in Knoxville and our cities and all, where they've got their fingers in everything. They know about trees. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, coming up with trees and all would not be a problem at all. So anyhow, there's lots of funding opportunities. And then there's the benefit of recognition. Here you see a group where they're celebrating, and you can see there you receive flags, signs, and other materials to proudly display your award. They put up like a street sign, you know, instead of like yield or school, it just says Tree City USA. And that's where you may see some of those around. Educate residents about the value of trees and green space, gain national recognition for your commitment to the environmental stewardship, and then create a cleaner, healthier, and more beautiful urban landscape. So I think it would just be a wonderful program for Townsend to consider. You know, as I say here, undoubtedly require careful planning and effort, but I think the advantages it can bring to our community far outweigh the effort that would be involved. And I put there our initial support. We've got the Arbor Day Foundation. They've got their guidelines, the readiness quiz, education. They offer grants. We've got our Tennessee Urban Forestry Council. I'm saying you got myself and at least my professional network. I know folks. The Tuckaleechee Garden Club. I think this says And we just share with each other, this is a force to be reckoned with. Because I know y'all are familiar with the Townsend River Walk and all, you know, the club that supports and involved in that. The Smoky Mountain Heritage Center, the garden's there. We got Trevor here tonight. We've been working with the principal over at the elementary school to help with the grounds there and make it a better place for those students. So, with that, are there any comments or questions?
Sue, do you ever work with Trees Knoxville, Tom Welborn and that group?
I know Tom, but I have not personally worked with him.
Well, I can hook you up.
So see, just with the network of all of us, it'd be easy.
Oh, yeah.
So Kelsey, I'm going to leave it with you. It's something to ponder and think about, and then that handout. And I do have a PDF on this if it would help you.
I would love for you to send that to me.
Okay, I will do that. But yeah.
So, do you all have, Kathy, Mayor, Kayla, Jason, do you have any questions for Sue about trees?
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, Kelsey, but I guess this could fall under your department from what you guys can assess. If it did, I maybe have to talk to the mayor and present all this and that kind of thing, but then I would think the readiness quiz, and then if you decide versus a department, you would want to have a board, it would be forming a board, you know, and then, again, that could just look, I think, it looks like Marable only has 4, Knoxville had more, but I mean, you could just design that the way you want it to be, you know?
Do you know when Marable, when their board meets?
You know, I know when I put that on there, I don't recall it, but they have it posted.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Alcoa has a really nice tree board presence too online.
Okay. I think it, might be beneficial for us to attend one of their meetings too. But I think that this would be, I'm just saying this, but I think it would be wonderful to implement this for Townsend.
Hey, and I'll throw this out too. You know, the time to plant trees, and that's what we're talking about. You know, do you want to plant trees? You really do it from the months of like November through mid-March. You've got that window. Like all this rain, you want to do it when it's dormant. So you're kind of active with it, and a concerted effort 1 or 2 times out of the year. And then if there's anything else you want to do, your Arbor Day thing could even be like in November when you want to do some tree planting. So it's not like it's a real hustle bustle, busy all the time type thing, if you know what I'm saying.
A lot of their road, of course, is state right of way, so what are we limited to with that?
And that's where I think we could find out a whole lot with what Marable and Alcoa have done, because we have a similar layout with that boulevard going down the middle, all of that.
Yeah. I think
And I think too, there'd be guidelines on there to read deeper on the resources I came across.
That is a really good question that you asked, because I'm sure somebody else would have asked it too. I think Jason was going to ask that question. Jason's head of our maintenance, and so he's the one, you guys took down those trees yesterday.
Yeah.
I cleaned up
So thank you for
massive hemlock that's.
Yeah, and thank you for your treatment on it. We're going to make sure we get on it.
So Jason, was that a city effort? That was a city job?
Yes.
Or was it a county, city?
It was city.
Oh, it's a city. They worked all day on that.
Yeah, you know, Jason, I'm just going out
We
until.
work on quite a bit, so, me and the guys, we stay on it all the time, so. It's a lot of hard work, but we got it done.
Yeah.
They keep it mowed and they
Yeah.
keep it looking good for us. I did want to ask about too, I know we're talking about trees, but also in those medians where it's grassy and stuff, like, what about adding some pollinators of some sort for like the bees and
And so,
Yeah, I watched real close what they planted there, just as the most recent thing that we've all seen. They did it just last fall, and they did it in the fall. Maryville, they planted all native plants, and they did Itea, sweet spire, which is that's a good pollen. It flowers in the spring. It's a small, low shrub, and it colonizes, and it can take wet or dry, because what we have in those medians definitely will get wet and stay boggy wet because of the way they're sloped.
yeah.
But I mean, there's lots of plants that just do well with that, and then if it goes dry, those plants do fine. But there's a lot of plants that could be done, and it could be like you've even seen, now they've got those raised boulevards, but we could do it knowing that you're gonna be mowing. I mean, I know. I know, mowing becomes a very big
Not
deal,
keeping it,
and you want it to be easy, and
Yeah.
so you don't want to be going around all these things. So, see, all that could be planned out, how you manage that.
Yeah. But, the only kicker for the media would be everything's at a slope because of drainage. You know, the road's crown, all the water goes in the middle, and then it goes into the river. So there's catch basins all through there, so getting with T-Dot on it's gonna be, that would be my only suggestion. That is be that they're all
Well, I
through
see
there.
all the roots helping to hold soil and filtering that water too that goes down into those storm drains. Anytime you can pass water through lawn, any plant, any root, it's gonna come out better. So, I mean, you see lots of areas with T-Dot and all where they do, I know we could do that. It would just talk to the right people, and they may have a list of plants, but again, the native plants, we're not limited on what all we could plant. There's lots of good things.
I have had a few residents email me in the last year or so, and they have asked, you know, can the city do something about planting more trees and more native species to the area? So the people do want it. They do want to see that.
Well, that's good to know, Kelsey, and I noticed, I appreciated the benches that got added along, but a lot of them are just out in full sun.
They are.
And that could be one of the first places you look to, maybe let's put a tree here that's gonna grow up and make it a nice place to, but that's all good.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, I volunteer right now. If you want to move forward in all this, I would love to help and be involved.
We got extra weed eaters too.
I know how to run one.
I just don't know.
Hey, well, thanks a lot.
So thank you so much. Please send this to
I
me.
will.
I'd like to present it to the Board of Commissioners.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank
Let's
you.
give her another hand. You all are like the official hop group. Like, I feel like we need to.
Yeah.
You think we look old because of the
Yeah.
We sure can. Hey, Jane, listen what Kelsey's asking.
You need to come to the Board of Commissioners
Yeah.
meetings, because they can tend to be a little bit tight.
Yeah.
What time does it start?
Next Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
Is it here?
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah, so I would like to present that to the Board of Commissioners.
Oh, next
You're
Tuesday.
welcome.
Oh, yeah.
If you wanted to come back and present.
We can come
I
back.
would be happy to if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And we can come back.
Let's do it.
We're the groupies.
I think we should do it.
Okay, let's
All right, I'll
do it.
stay in touch with you, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next Tuesday at 7. Did anybody have any more questions for Sue?
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Well, we will get back to our regularly scheduled programming.
We
We just have one more little thing to talk about.
We get a bingo night.
Bingo is Monday.
I know, I don't know.
John,
it looked weird, sitting for the families, I'm a single guy, couldn't go.
There's a lot of single people that come to bingo. Actually, there's just one lady that comes that sits by herself. I'd be happy to introduce you to her.
Because I got already two ex-wives, I don't even know them.
Yeah.
She's gonna let the garden club know about the cat collection. And they just walk around, if you see it's full.
What about what did they say about the
They
park?
said they would love to come up and that they actually have a lot of donated seeds left over that we could use and possibly do something with like getting the grade school families involved or something.
Okay.
They're very soon to be very on board with whatever.
Okay.
So what should next steps be for that? Like, how do we follow
I
up?
think maybe talk to Sue about it because Sue would be involved too, so we can touch base with her to see like what's a good time to start planting and we can maybe in between then, now and then, have a meeting up there to see it's 90 is going.
Okay. Well, I guess I should have asked you first if we could still add her to the agenda for next week. Okay. All right. Because if she can present this, if we can kind of co-present it to the Board of Commissioners also, I guess that should have been a question. Do the Board of Commissioners have to approve a tree board?
I would think.
I think so.
Because I
Okay.
have approved Parks and Rec,
Yeah,
RFP tree.
because there has to be an ordinance in place too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that it would be in favor of a separate board that like is under the Parks and Rec? Purview? When she was presenting, my initial thought was, I mean, this falls right into Parks and Rec for Townsend, and I was like, well, if you want to do the most like streamlined route, the Parks and Rec board could just serve as the tree board. It doesn't seem like that much of a heavy lift. But then there's expertise like Sue that you'd be missing out on if you just did that way. So I don't know.
And for Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason should be on
People
that.
that are better suited.
Hell, waiters.
It'd be like an arm of Parks and Rec.
That's what I mean.
Like
Like
an
a
arm of
sunset.
Exactly.
Like a subcommittee
Yeah.
of Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Okay. Well, since she's gung ho on coming next week and presenting then
Man.
she's got the hot group with her, then I think then that'll be good. Because we still have to let the mayor and the rest of the commissioners know anyway. But I'm in favor of it if you all are too.
I mean, the minute she showed the pictures of just
Yeah.
the tree line streets, that's what
Yeah.
people want this, I mean,
Yeah.
It's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
If it was a lot of logistics and like administrative work or a big expense, it'd be different, but it feels very straightforward.
You immediately said, oh, what about the roots, there's a, it goes in the river, and she said, I know that, it's
Yeah.
good filtration,
Better,
so it
yeah.
seems like I've known Sue
Right.
since I moved here, she was my neighbor, and she's
Right.
37 years just ahead of
Yeah,
me.
as long as T-Dot, you get approval with T-Dot.
Yeah, she's
But
working
that,
on
that's the only
That's
kicker
on-
for that.
I'm sure she's
Yeah.
worked with all of them,
Yeah.
Because if that ever floods out, we're in
yeah.
trouble. Water's back in the road,
Yeah.
we're in trouble.
Yeah,
I'll reach out to Whitney tomorrow because we're still in the process of getting the licensing agreement
Yeah.
and just kind of throw that at her too. See
Just-
what we would need.
Yeah,
to
just
do.
ask her, say like we approved, like you guys approved the benches on the bike trail a couple of years ago, so, you know, can we get some trees too, and also in the medians, can we do something about that too? If we can't do trees in the medians, then
Along
at
the
least
line.
some pollinators for stuff.
Yeah, and then like trees by the benches.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
someone
the trees
really,
by the
really
benches would be
needs
great.
it.
Yeah.
It
All
really
summer
does.
long, every time I walked with the kids, I was like, this is excruciating. There's zero shade.
well, just the other day, when,
Yeah.
when it was beautiful out, the day we had like, was in the
Mhm.
high 70s, we parked down at Townsend, which is all shaded,
Mm-hmm.
and you could tell, I mean, you could tell such a difference coming out of that shaded area into the
Yeah.
sun. I mean, it really does make such a difference along that walkway.
Really, the only shaded one is if you walk down to the armory.
Yes, on that
Yeah,
side.
that's it, that's a small patch of.
That's about the only shaded.
Bethel Church Road is the only bench that's got shade really.
Yeah, it
That's
is,
it.
Jason.
It really is.
Well, and at Townsend, it's kind of,
Townsend,
it's a little
right.
shaded
Yeah.
right there, but we still have 8 more benches that are along the bike trail that are just out in the open. And we tried to place them best we could, at the
And
time.
we tried to put one in the shade
Yeah.
across from Chuck's house. Remember,
Yeah, I
remember that little
remember.
shade, but it was solid rock.
Yeah,
and
it
had
just
to move it.
didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you could ask Whitney, just, you know, I mean, I don't see TDOT saying no to something like that.
Who maintains the public trees in town? And like who plants them? Maintenance?
Well, we take care of them,
Okay.
but they actually planted the ones that's there.
Who's that?
Brock, am I correct? T-Dot.
As far as I know.
Yeah, that's what I was told, yeah. And that's the reason some of them, well, if you go down towards your cover bridge, you know, it's eroding the sidewalk from those trees. And we talked to one of the guys about it and said we could cut them, but make sure we plant something back. But, man, that's a lot of work to get all them out. And it's not, it's gonna be wide open, there'll be no shade then, right there.
No, I think it's something we should
I think
definitely
so,
move forward with.
too.
Yeah, that's
I think so
great.
too. Okay, one more thing. So Gayla found these two grills, and priced them for us, for the park up there, since we talked about that at the workshop last week. That's something we can go ahead and do now.
I like the shelf on the back.
Jason, did you look at these?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
so because you would be the ones to be installing them.
Yeah.
Did you have a preference on those?
No.
Okay.
I'm with Kathy, the shelf is
The
a
shelf
nice,
is kind of
a
nice.
nice thing.
Yeah.
You can place like finished food on there.
Well, we've got a little money to spend, so I think we need to spend it.
Now, I think these are like handicap accessible.
Okay.
And then others, it doesn't say that they are.
We need, because of that handle, that I think, I was looking at some of these a few days ago, and, like somebody in a wheelchair that needs to get to it and swivel it around. I think this one, the bottom one, the black one, what if we got one of each? Or do you wanna get matching ones? Should they be the same?
No, I understand what you're saying about handicap accessible, but that whole park is not handicap accessible.
Yeah, kind of wrapped.
That where
Yeah,
you-
this-
grills.
They have one at the special.
Yeah, they have special.
Now,
we
these
have-
are the other kind you would put at special people's park.
Yeah, that's
Just
what
because
these
they're on
are.
the concrete, where that's accessible.
Yeah, there's some down there.
I'm fine with either one of them, so if one of you wants to make a motion to approve, do we want one or two?
I would do too.
Okay, if one of you wants to make a motion to, purchase the galvanized steel charcoal grill, the purchase of two of them, you just need to make a motion.
I make a motion to purchase 2 of the galvanized steel charcoal grills for the park on Mountain.
And if you want a second.
I second.
Okay, all right then, since we have 3 out of 5, we have a quorum, so we can vote on this, by the way. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. None opposed, so we will purchase 2 of those grills for the park, and if you will install them, we just need to figure out where they need to go.
The only suggestion I have with this is we probably need to have something where they can dump that charcoal after they're done, because of all the weeds and stuff that's up
Yeah.
there. If the wind ever gets up and they leave it unattended, it can really cause a major problem.
What would you suggest for that?
We can look into something like something metal that we can put those in. Just
Yeah, some sort of
something-
metal,
Yes.
whether it was a button or
Yeah.
something that you could be, that's substantial enough, it's not gonna blow over too.
What do they have in the park?
Go ahead.
Sorry, what do they have in the park for that?
You know, that's a good question.
If we could just use-
I don't know, but we could figure out.
Yeah, use
What
the.
they
They're
do.
like the kids
Yeah.
with
Because
cameras and
she's-
stuff.
Yeah,
No.
we picnic there all the time and nothing is coming to mind.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you know, I've never thought about it either.
Yeah.
I would ask the park.
Yeah, growing
Yeah,
up,
that
yeah.
is a good idea.
Surely they've thought of that.
Because, yeah, that's,
I mean, maybe someone's tasked with just cleaning it out.
Yeah.
So they don't need something like
Right.
that.
exactly,
It's
yeah.
maintained frequently enough. That's
And
good.
I don't know if they have to, take the hose with them, or how they do that. But
I think they just dump them on the ground, pour water on
Do
them.
they?
Yeah,
Probably.
and then finally with rain, it just dissipates.
Then I think park maintenance is last.
Yeah, it's good to do that.
It's,
Yeah, as long as there's something to put it in, that's all we need.
I think, yeah, because I'd say like just like a metal type
Yeah.
of trash can, but it would need to be affixed to something so it didn't,
We can just dump it out.
yeah.
So I know you asked the garden club about coming up to the park and doing some stuff. So what I kind of learned today was like, the projects that are done on the river walk is like a different organization. Like the garden club is still involved with that, and I think they might have even established it years ago. But it's like kind of there's like two different organizations going on there. So you've got like the Townsend River Walk, which is like Mark and Sater, who
And this is
is
the
kind
garden
of,
club.
and this is the garden club. So like the projects done like with the kid-friendly stuff that like you take your kids to do, that's project TWRA, and then, or TRWA, and then you've got the garden club that's there doing their thing. So, like, I talked to Mark by email earlier today. He is willing to come to the park though and see what sorts of similar ideas and projects that we can do up there. So they can come and show us like, hey,
What
we
kind
have
of
some
plants and
plants and
where.
stuff, and then he can be the one to kind of step in and be like, hey, like, these are some structures.
That's
Who
great.
thinks there?
I was going to suggest reaching out to that group anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones that have been in it and doing it and are familiar with it.
If we did some sort of walking path around that park, there was a place in St. Charles, it's a suburb of Chicago, that had a walking path. And it had it almost like, I don't want to say like a children's book, but they had little signs that you could switch out, and they would put little pages, like pages out of a children's book, so every so often you could stop and read.
Cute.
That's
Yeah.
really cute.
That's very, very cute.
So something that could kind of move you through.
Yeah, and engage
So-
you, but
Okay.
they even did at the Riverwalk, they put a little scavenger hunt that my kids have loved. It was like paper bags, and on it, they have both a picture of what you need to find and a description in case the kid can't read.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, and you get to like mark it off, and we put Sharpies there, and the kids were more into the Sharpies
That's,
than the actual.
yeah, of course.
They're like, come take these home. I was like, that's not part of the scavenger.
Yeah, the Sharpies kind of.
Sharpies are not nature.
So
But that's
there's a
so
lot of good
cool.
ideas.
That is
Yeah.
really cool, yeah.
They have a lot, and it's, to me, it's like low cost and it's maintainable and, oh, do we have a status on the pavilion, like the drainage?
Yeah. I'm bring that. I cut a swell out on the backside for that already.
Okay.
But I was up there looking at it, was it's raining today and yesterday and stuff, okay, but where that's coming off, we probably have to put a gutter on it, on that one side anyway,
Yeah.
because it is actually, the overhang's not far enough out for the water to come off for another swell, so we're gonna have to do that.
Where that gutter comes down, is that something that you could possibly like bury to take it a little further away to help?
Yeah, oh yes, we will.
Okay.
Once we get all the water, once we get the gutter on,
Yeah.
we're covering the
Converting.
drainage, we can even take the pipe and just get
Yeah.
it routed, which is.
I think that's great, and I think that would help.
Because that swell that I cut in is right there where it'll come out, so.
And that's where last year when we pressure washed it, it just seems like when it hits the mud,
Yeah.
kind of splashes back up.
Right back in, so.
The barn.
Yeah, me and Kayla talked about that. We're gonna let it dry up a little bit, and I think he was talking about maybe 1st of March, right around now.
Somewhere around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna go through it, tomorrow, and there's another thing I need to talk to you about, the Christmas lights and stuff in there, what are we gonna do with them?
Yeah, that, well, they're old. They're those old snowflakes.
I was gonna give them to Glenn, see? So he put them up for some night this year.
Is it the old lights that, is
He
it
hates
the old
them,
lights
don't
that
he?
you use street lights?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
The
say,
snowflakes.
I would just say that.
Yeah, they're 20-some years old.
That's why we got new ones.
Yeah,
Because the
they-
lights were bad. Just, I don't know, if it it was up to me, I'd just buy a match, but,
However, you
I
have
mean,
to
I would
appropriately
just
dispose
give
of it to
stuff
the city.
away.
I'm sure you just have to document what you're
It's
doing.
city property, which is
Yes.
because I've had a couple of other people reach out wanting to know, like, little signs and stuff, if those would be available to residents and they will to have one. So that ultimately will be up to the board,
Yeah.
but we'd have to.
I
Document it.
Throw it in the
think we have to document that, yeah. I know that we try to do that where I used to work and
Yeah.
Well, it's just, it's a snake.
it's all city property. It has to be, I think you can auction it off,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you can do it through, like, just us auction it or you can do it through government auction.
We usually get the good deals, but this stuff,
Yeah, some of that stuff.
Right.
it's broken and
Yeah.
whatnot, so.
Jason, can I ask you something real quick?
Yes.
So, you know, we had a workshop last week and we were just kind of talking about, because we've got a little money we need to spend, try to. And you know, the Special People's Park is gonna be pretty expensive, no matter how you look at it. And, you know, $25,000 can only go so far with that. I don't even know if it'll pay for the architects and engineers, to be honest with you. It might be more than that. We don't know yet until we really get into it. But there is some, like, I know we tried to put the roof on that barn, a new roof on, and that didn't work out last year. But the quote was for, that you had got for us was just under 10,000. Did that include like the rafters, or was that just like the metal?
That was whatever was damaged underneath it.
Uh-huh.
He was going to replace. If it needed to be replaced, he would replace it. And I know he's seen some spots that were really bad.
Yeah.
As far as wood wise, that he was going to have to replace, so.
And that was in that quote?
Yes.
Did he give you a quote on paper, or was it just his?
I think he emailed it to, was it you?
I don't know. I don't think I saw it. I don't think I saw one like on paper. If we could get, the thing is, like, you don't want to do anything inside the barn, if we want to do anything inside that barn, until you fix the roof.
Right.
So that's just kind of, like, I know we had got those 3 or 4 different quotes from the contractors that live around here to do some renovations on the barn. They were all about $65,000. But I was just kind of wondering, like, if there's any sort of work, like, as far as taking out the dirt floor and just like putting concrete down, like, is that something you and Jerry and Kent can do, or does that need to be done
Yeah,
by somebody
with
else?
something that big, as far as the floor,
Yeah,
that'd be out of our hands.
Okay.
That would take
All right.
a long time.
a long time.
Yeah, I know, a lot of work.
That's a big job.
But,
We're just trying to figure out what's priority,
yeah,
what can be done first, what can we afford to do,
the
what,
roof,
and what's gonna get used, like, we don't wanna waste money, basically.
the roof is a big thing.
Okay.
And it's, the longer we wait, the more expensive it's gonna be. And, yeah, it's getting, some spots it's getting pretty bad.
So I know we didn't talk about this directly at our workshop, but when I left, I was thinking, you all may have considered this before I came on, but have we thought about just demolishing that barn? Or is that not started?
It's not really been talked about.
Maybe we should, not demolish it, but talk about it. Just because I've just been hearing about it more recently, and it just seems like there's lots of things that need to be fixed, lots of expenses, but we don't really have a good use for it that justifies that expenses, like putting concrete in there, putting in a new roof, like, for what exactly? If we want this to be like a public utility for the community, I don't necessarily see the value. Whereas if it flattened it, you now have more space to work with.
And if you did demolish the barn and put up a new structure,
Yeah,
it's more cost effective to do that.
yeah,
I mean, it could be.
and offer more utility.
solid and insulated and have air and locking doors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the world is your oyster if you get into that barn there, like, we could revisit, you know, what could go there. But I just think that the barn is pretty limiting, and I mean, it could be used for storage for us, that's not.
Well, it's like any structure that has to be, sometimes costs more to fix it than it is. just-
Yeah.
And I know that, and I know it's sad not to say that, I think
For
that,
it.
but my understanding is that the barn belonged to the family that lived there, and so it was private property until it was, so I don't know that it has a huge town history. I think it has more history for the family than it does. I could be wrong, because I don't know.
Well, I bring it up because, you know, we have that money to spend, like you said. If we were to use it in this fiscal year, demolish that barn, then we sort of have a clean slate with this park and can explore more, just like more possibilities of what we could do.
I mean, I know this is crazy, but I mean, if you did do something like that, I mean, you should put a really nice playground there or basketball court or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Something to think
And
about.
even, and I don't know the rules around this, but say we did that, could you even, okay, it's a partnership.
That's
not here,
you
so-
say partnership.
Okay, well, I just feel like, could you partner with a local business in town, like say, the Abbey, or the IGA, or Peaceside, any of those businesses and say, will you all help us build up this park that's going to be public utility? You know, because we know we don't have a big budget, but like businesses in town have a vested interest in like the town being nice too. So it's not unheard of for, you know, them to contribute financially and they put their name on it, doesn't really matter, right? Like we're just sort of the facilitator of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the city is allowed to accept contributions and donations. I think if it's over $500, it has to be accompanied by a letter saying what it specifically has to be used for. We actually had a check from somebody from Sevier County that he wrote us a check for $5,000 and it was to use for the bike trail. So,
But it was for him being able to use the bike trail, he just
Yeah.
made a donation to the city and
Yeah.
yeah, so that is allowed. I mean, if people want to donate money for a certain particular thing, as long as it's, you know. for-
Speaking of donations, I had got an email I mentioned the other day that Jerry had reached out and said, hey, this
Yeah.
person called you.
Yeah.
So when they were having a meeting of the, I believe it was the Trouts Unlimited meeting.
Yeah.
But what?
Trout Unlimited, Jerry and Ian are members of Trout Unlimited, they were,
Okay.
and they were doing some stuff in Tellico Village, I believe.
Yep, so you forwarded me that email the other day.
She had someone that wanted to donate, right?
So there was a recent meeting of the Little River chapter of the Trout Unlimited organization, and back when we were looking at grants, and I had contacted David Whiteslaw, he's a teacher over at Heritage.
Yeah.
He was telling this gentleman, Mr. Holt, about it, and they're actually Kiwanis out of Tellico Village in Loudon. And so if it comes a time that we get some information on the Special People's Park and some more cost of figures, he must have kept them because he was going to propose to them to make a donation towards that.
So we have somebody like kind of readily available that we.
That is asked to be kept in the loop because he would like pictures and some more cost figures and stuff like
So
that.
this is for special people.
Yeah, that's for Special People's Park. Oh, wait, we're talking about money, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of money, like, I'm kind of at a loss on what to do first, what takes priority over what.
Right.
In my head, the Special People's Park takes it over that one up there as far as structure wise. So, because getting people that access to Little River, in my opinion, is more important. Especially, I'm sure Charity would agree with that since she had the CDC 1 class come. Not even two, you know, it was back last summer before we had to close it down. And those kids, like, she sent me pictures of those kids and they just enjoyed it so much. And so the next step for that park is the review committee I was telling you guys about last week, so I'll present that to the board of commissioners on Tuesday. Hopefully they'll approve that review committee for the RFQs. Then we can start going through the 5 we submitted, and, you know, if we need to interview them, we will probably have some additional questions. What's a preliminary design cost, you know, just a cost estimate for stuff. I think I forwarded you all an email from Mike Bryant, which is one of the people that I wanted on that committee. And, you know, he said it's kind of hard to tell right now. It's just hard to tell right now until you get into what you want. It's all gonna depend on what kind of materials are we gonna use, like how big is this thing gonna get down there? Like how big of an overlook do we want? Is it gonna be made out of wood again, or steel, or metal, or aluminum, or, you know, and who's gonna do the job, and what's TDEC gonna say? Like what kind of permits do we need to get? So it's going to take time. But as far as like these 2 grants that I keep hammering about with the T-Mobile and the AARP grant, the AARP grant is due March 5th. I just don't see us submitting this year to them unless it's something that we can easily apply for, like that benefits senior citizens. Because that's what that grant's for. Like you want to pick something because that's what it's all about. It's an AARP grant,
Yeah.
so it has to
Well, and the problem with
benefit.
special people's part is like both of these grants require the drawings and costs and stuff like that. And we don't even have to do yet. We're not gonna hit the time frame, because then if you are awarded the grant, you have one, like, till the end of the year to complete it, which would be massive.
So we would have to, like, if we still wanted to apply for like a T-Mobile grant, I think it needs to be for something else other than, and it might not even be Parks and Rec related, it might just have to be for the city as a whole.
And I just don't see that being met by March 5th. We could definitely, it's quarterly, so we could do it for the next one.
The T-Mobile one is more attainable, but,
The T-Mobile is more attainable because that could be something even related to the other part, whereas the AARP has to be directed towards seniors.
yeah, because the T-Mobile grant actually, it's like
It's more getting people outside.
yeah, it's for public community spaces and technology.
So I think if we're going to keep the pond, you know, I'm not supposed to fill the pond in either. Yeah, just saying. You know, but if we're gonna keep the pond, or, you know, or maybe we should look at, you know, something to, because I just think if you start at the back of that property and work your way over, you know, because you don't want to start in the middle and then.
Maybe be thoughtful about
where you
spacing.
start, and, you know, just this kind of the site plan that the gentleman did for us. Maybe we should start picking one of those elements and really focusing on doing one of the elements that he suggested.
Oh, yeah,
working our way
Crisora,
around- working
yeah.
our way around the park. Even if that is, you know, parking, but a lot of times the parking's done last, because then you don't want to be putting on the park.
Yeah, I think Mark could advise on this quite a bit, just in like what makes sense given the layout of the.
Okay, I think that'd be great.
Mark Sager, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, when he comes, we can sort of ask him.
Yeah.
Sort of, you know, don't limit yourself to just this, but like, if we did X, then what would be possible?
Yeah.
The barn wasn't there, you know, what would you
Yeah.
see for this?
And I mean, to be honest, would more than 1 or 2 people use the pond, you consider the amount of liability and insurance you probably have to carry that, you know, once you start really getting people to come to the
That's
park.
where my mind, when I saw.
My mind too, when I
pond
said,
like that, I was like, this is.
especially because it's so far removed from town, I mean, something could happen and no one will ever know.
100%, yeah, it's
You
a little
know.
eerie down there.
You know, especially here,
Yeah.
and more viewable, so something maybe we should all think about.
What is the deadline for the T-Mobile grant, or is it just sort of?
It's quarterly.
Yeah, for this quarter, I believe it's March 31st or April 1st.
Okay, but no big deal if we miss it, because we can go to the next quarter.
And it's always the same, so you can kind of get an idea of what you want.
Yeah, and the initial thought was last year when I
Yeah.
found this grant, we were going to try to take that money and turn the barn into something for the community to use and for us to use for different things and, but also, that was without heating and air.
Right. But if you're talking, I mean, at least 10,000 for the roof, plus it needs, the bathroom needs work, plus the floor, and plus, you know, it doesn't door and it doesn't have air, so for that cost, could you potentially, you know, and it doesn't have to look grand, you could have something constructed that fits with it, landscape and.
I know the mayor was in favor of the barn, like revitalizing it. I don't know about you, I don't know how you feel about it, like with, you know, I don't know if the city, like if you guys still need to store stuff in there, or if you're like, if it's not needed for maintenance first.
I think we only got this, like an old sweeper in there that we never use. It's mainly it's junk.
It's just,
It's just junk. I mean,
It's just
We got some road
there.
signs and posts that we can crank down here with that. But we used to store salt there, but it was just too far to drive there and do it in the dark. And you can do it here. So we moved all that, so everything's down here, but it's good stuff.
you know what I've kind of thought about is doing, the mayor did this last year, and he's a champ for doing it, but he did like, what did he call it, like a
Mayor's listening session.
mayor's listening session, where people could just come and tell him like how they felt about something, or what they think we need to do, and what the commissioners need to do. I know that people, you know, we don't get a lot of people coming to our meetings and stuff, but if we put it out there that like, hey, like the Parks and Rec Board needs to know what you guys want for Townsend. You know, we did the survey and people wanted more, they wanted a playground, that was a big one. They wanted more kid-friendly activities to do. They wanted, I want to say somebody even said more trees, more vegetation.
They wanted to start micromanaging.
Yeah, they wanted to put the parade back to how it used to be.
That was 1%.
That was one person said that.
That's not a bad idea, and maybe it is something we should consider for the park up there is,
Yeah.
if we don't need the barn for the city, I mean, would it make sense to put a smaller venue up there that could be used like you wanted it to, especially if it was a little newer with heating and air and
Yeah,
the major conveniences, and then maybe that would open up more space for a playground.
Yeah. And I mean, hearing that, like, if people want more kid-focused activities, I was thinking about, like, who else in the community provides and sort of kid-oriented activities, and the Heritage Center came to mind. We do different types of classes. Allison was even telling me about this when I interviewed her, but if, you know, folks are dead set on keeping the barn, you know, maybe you approach the Heritage Center and say, would this be an additional space where you host kid-friendly things, or we teach them skill, or do something, but I just haven't heard something compelling enough to warrant keeping that barn. That's just, maybe I'm missing something, or maybe the mayor has something in mind, I just
I
don't.
told you I approached people who's, and asked for history. I said, oh, can you give me some
Yeah.
history about this?
yeah.
And his comment to me was, my grandfather built that, he dug that pond.
So it's
I don't
like-
want to,
Yeah.
he said, I know you prefer to be turned down. He said, when I look at that, it makes me sad because it was supposed to be offered back to the family, but it wasn't. So
That's very personal.
it was very personal. It was land that was sold off due to need.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hadn't really-
Like I said, I'm not from here. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's more of a history with that for the city, or if it was just personal to that family, and it's just history because it's been here so long, that if it did go away, it would be.
Like what that is, yeah. That's something away for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm torn because I see Girls Point and tearing it down. I also,
I hate to tear stuff down. but
I hate to tear
think
stuff
it's-
down too.
I mean,
I just,
some of the stuff over here, I just would like to fix, but there's no sense, you know.
Yeah.
you know, I just, I like to see things get revitalized and brought back to life that have just been sitting. There's just something about that
I
that's
think
just,
that's fantastic, but I think at some time we have to wait, is it
Yeah.
feasible?
is it
I mean, to be
feasible?
a good steward of like funds,
Mhm,
right?
right.
Like,
Is that a
again,
good use
like,
of,
I'm,
I mean, if
I'm all
what we
for
could
it,
put to
but
revitalize this,
right.
could we put something new and something else? I mean, could-
yes, and like, will it meet what the community's asking for? That's the other.
Maybe we just need to have like just come and let them talk to us the whole time instead of us talking.
Right.
Let them come and talk the
Yeah.
whole time. That's, you know, I mean, if the people would show up now, that's what we would do.
Yeah.
We would listen to them. We wouldn't give them 3 minutes. They would have
Well,
5
and
minutes.
it could be an option of an email for us to evaluate or for us to read back to the community and get more input from that. If they couldn't be here, you know, it would be a mandate, so.
We could use a bingo session and do half of it feedback for us, half bingo.
Mhm.
Because we know there's already, because what I worry is
As a
you
captive
publicize this and we're all excited about it and you get like 10 people.
Yeah.
You know, at least bingo, you're getting 50.
Well, maybe at the beginning bingo, we just ask people that question, tell them to think about it, and during one of our breaks or something, we just take input or, you know,
Yeah, we get casual.
just very casual kind of.
Wasn't Miss Morton here tonight? Is that, does she live up here?
They just moved up there 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know if that was,
Is that, what's her name?
they live in that house like right,
Yeah, Mike, yeah, is that Mike's wife?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike's the one that told me that.
like,
Did she-
okay.
She comes, did she come to yoga?
She did.
She came to yoga this morning.
Oh, is that, is her name?
Linda.
Linda, yeah, that's Mike's wife.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Mike is the one that told me that, because that was his family's property.
He's the one that told you that farm.
Well, that makes sense.
It was his family's property.
So he's
He
better
has
than
a
the
grant.
Sound City tree.
Well, he is, because he told me that they had to, there was a divorce, they had to sell it.
Sure.
And the person he sold it to was supposed to offer back to them, but they drove into the city.
Okay, all right. Yeah, and I think the city acquired it back in the early 90s, so it's been a long time. Okay. All right, well, anything else from the workshop that we did? How many pounds do we have now of caps that's cleaned and processed?
I would have to look, but I think we did close to another 40 pounds, 36.
Yeah, it was like 36, I think, 36, 39.
So I think we've had close to 80, 90. Because then we do like 30 and 30, almost 30 and 30 last time.
We should have over 100 pounds.
And that's full.
That one was 50 pounds, that first sorting that we did, I thought.
We had one that was like 38 and 42 pounds.
I thought they were both close to like, yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, I think it should be about 100. So it's still a ways to go
Yes.
with
But
that.
that's okay, because people are still,
We're just kind of taking our time with the caps and just doing it as we get a little bit of time. Okay, bingo's on Monday.
yes.
Shouldn't need anything. We've got plenty of popcorn still. We've got plenty of water. Brett brought in a few prizes from Ace. I'm missing something. I'm gonna get a few more gift cards probably for the bigger winners. I was gonna see if Brandy would donate a massage to add to that spa package thing that Tammy had put together as a bigger prize. If she can put like a 30-minute massage in with that spa package that Tammy put together, that would be a good one. So I'll text her and ask her if she'll do that. I'm sure she will. And if there's any more prizes that you all want to bring in, I feel like we need to freshen it up a little bit because it's like the same stuff every month. So I think if we need to kind of mix it up, mix it around. Some of that stuff we've had since we started doing
Have you
bingo.
approached any businesses locally
Yeah.
about donating? Because we do need to be kind of mindful of what we're spending on the prizes as far as
Parks and Rec.
everything being free
Yeah.
for people, because we do kind of have to
Yeah.
have a cap on that. And I I mean, like certain times of year, like for Christmas and things like that, yeah, it's nicer to have, several gift cards and stuff, but we're just kind of need to, maybe start going to some of the businesses.
That's a good
and
point.
see
Very good point. What about paying fire?
They donated last time.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, and some of that stuff I just paid for and picked up. Some of the stuff that's still sitting there. But I think we need to kind of maybe move a little bit of them around and maybe just, as far as like bigger prizes, they don't always have to be gift cards. I mean,
Right.
we can get other stuff. So if somebody wanted to donate a Yeti cup, I mean, to me, that's a $50 cup, $45 cup. So it could be stuff like that. It doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah, because you're right, some of that stuff's full.
Yeah, and plus every month I'm just, me and Tammy are scrambling for gift cards. Like she'll text me and she'll be like, hey, do I need to pick up gift cards? And I'm like, I don't know, I don't think we have any left, and usually they're all gone, and, so, I know people love them, it's just, like Ella said.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Okay, well, do I have a motion to adjourn then? Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Or you do public input? Isn't that?
I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I always forget. I'll open it up for public input. John, if you have anything to say.
They say.
Okay, all right then.
Just want to make sure, because I didn't know, sometimes
Oh,
people
it's
come
fine,
just for
no.
public input.
Yeah, very sorry, I missed that. Okay. Did you second that?
Yeah.
Kathy made a motion to adjourn, Mina seconded, all in favor? Aye. Aye.